Houchin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to Chairman Lotta, Ranking Member Pallone for being here. From day one, the Trump administration has worked to reverse the disastrous energy policies of the Biden administration, unleashing American energy production and reducing our dependence on our foreign adversaries. Finally, after 4 long years of failed leadership under President Biden, we once again have a president who understands that energy security is national security. Under current law, any entity wishing to export U.S. natural gas must gain approval to construct and operate LNG facilities, obtain multiple federal and state permits, and undergo a rigorous regulatory review. As if that process wasn't burdensome enough, the Biden administration announced an indefinite ban on issuing export permits to non-free trade agreement countries while it reviewed the climate impacts of U.S. LNG, surrendering to radical climate activists and effectively kneecapping one of America's most powerful economic and geopolitical tools. This legislation builds on the common sense policies of the Trump administration by removing unnecessary restrictions on the export of natural gas by eliminating the requirement for the Department of Energy to authorize LNG exports and instead giving the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission sole authority over the approval process. Congressman Lotta, do you agree that as a result of President Biden's freeze, Russia surpassed the U.S. as Europe's leading gas supplier, as documented at the time?
That's absolutely correct. And again, if I just can reiterate, one of the things, again, what our European allies have all said, they want to buy from the United States. They do not want to buy from Russia and pay for his war against Ukraine.
And how does that serve our national security or our allies if the United States is not a leader in these exports?
Well, the United States should be a leader. It's absolutely essential because, again, if the United States is leading and then the rest of the world is saying, you know what, we want the United States out there, and that's what they've all said. You talk to these countries from around the world, they say they don't want it when it comes to Russia or any place else. If they can get it from the United States, because not only do they know that they're not being held hostage, but they also know this, is that they're making sure that they're not financing wars that they'll end up, could very likely be next in. So they really see the United States as the leader out there.
So under the Trump administration, the first Trump administration, the United States was energy independent and was a net positive exporter of energy for the first time in 40 years. Under the Biden administration, LNG exports were stopped, as I mentioned before, under pressure from climate activists. We've heard from some of our colleagues yet this afternoon that if we try to increase exports of natural gas, it might drive up costs for consumers. However, history will tell us that the Biden halt of exports from liquid natural gas only resulted in a less than 1% discount on residential rates, yet it costs the United States in terms of our GDP. The industry itself is an economic engine accounting for about $408 billion in GDP since 2016. Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to insert for the record an article posted on API.org, Facts Not Fiction, the False Narrative on LNG Exports and U.S. Residential Prices.
Without objection.
So the International Energy Agency does project global gas demand will reach record highs. Why is it important for the United States to fill that demand? And you've mentioned some of these reasons, as opposed to our adversaries like Iran or Russia. In my view, the United States can and should be a leader and a net exporter of our energy portfolio, and this legislation is a step in that direction. Do you agree?